Hey guys, welcome back to Tea with Boar. My name is Boar, and this is episode number 4, How to Brew Gongfu. So as I was rewatching episode number 2, also called How to Brew Gongfu, I noticed that it was simply not good enough, and you guys deserve better, so I'm gonna be remaking it in this video. What I'll do today is I'll first explain what is Gongfu, then I'll tell you guys the differences between Gongfu style and Western style, and then finally I'll show you guys how to brew Gongfu. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So, what is Gongfu style brewing? Gongfu style is the way that tea is brewed in the eastern parts of the world, mainly China, Japan, and Taiwan, whereas Western style brewing, which includes these tea bags, I'm sure you've seen them before, that is more common in the western parts of the world, so mainly North America and Europe. So I'll begin by telling you guys the 3 measurable differences between Gongfu style and Western style. The first measurable difference between Gongfu style and Western style is the amount of tea used. In Western style, we typically use about 2 to 3 grams of tea per cup of water, whereas in Gongfu style, we use about 8 to 10 grams of tea per 200 milliliters of water. So, this might sound a bit crazy, but just bear with me, it'll all make sense. The second measurable difference between Gongfu style and Western style is the brewing time. In Western style, we typically steep tea bags for about 3 to 5 minutes, whereas in Gongfu style, we only actually brew the tea for about 20 to 30 seconds. Because there's so much more tea, it takes much less time to get that flavor that you want from the tea. And for some reason, I guess it's because you have so much more tea, the flavor you get when brewing Gongfu cannot be replicated by normal tea bags. Something important to note here about the tea is that in Gongfu style, it's really important that you guys are using loose leaf tea. What I mean by that is that these are actual buds and leaves, and they're not chopped up and sliced up as they are in a regular tea bag. Finally, the third measurable difference between Gongfu style and Western style is the number of infusions. The number of infusions refers to the amount of times that you can rebrew that same batch of tea. In Western style, for example, you can brew your tea bag about once and then it's lost all its flavor and you can't use it again. Whereas in Gongfu style, because you're using so much more tea and you're not brewing it for as long, you can actually infuse your tea up to about 10 times. Some tea's a little bit more, some tea's a bit less. That depends on the temperature of water that you're using. The hotter the temperature, the quicker the flavor goes away. But really, you can brew it at least 5 times. I like to go for around 7 times. Now that you know the differences between Gongfu style and Western style, let me show you guys what's on this table. To begin with, we have our Gaiwan. Our Gaiwan is a device that you use to actually brew your tea. How it works, you add your tea leaves inside the Gaiwan, pour your hot water in, close your lid, and after about 20 to 30 seconds, you leave a small gap and you can then pour out your tea. Pretty simple. What I have over here is what's sometimes called a tea press. I like to call it my modern Gaiwan. And how it works is it's a filter that has a release. And so let me show you guys what that means. When you add your water in, you can see that it's holding it, it's not letting it go. So this is the time that your tea is actually brewing for those 20 to 30 seconds. And once those 20 to 30 seconds are gone, you can then press your release and your tea is out. The next items I want to show you guys are my Japanese cast iron cups. So what you'll notice right away is that these cups are a lot smaller than traditional mugs. And so I'm not sure which one's better, which one's worse, but what I like about these cups is that your tea cools down a lot quicker. So once you add your hot tea, it only takes a few seconds after you can actually drink it and it'll be a nice temperature. So personally, I like these little cups. So the third item I want to show you guys is my tea kettle. So what I like about this tea kettle, and what's useful about it, is that it tells you the actual temperature of the tea. I'm not sure if that camera's picking that up, but I'll make sure to give you guys a better angle if it's not. But what's useful about a control kettle is that it tells you the temperature of the tea, which is important because certain teas require specific temperatures. So I'll do a little bit more of that on another video, but that's why it's important to have a control kettle. The last item I want to show you guys is my tea boat. So this tea boat is, the lid is made of bamboo, and the bottom's just made of ceramic. But what I like about this tea boat is that this symbol over here is the Chinese symbol for good luck. And so your tea boat is used to dispose of your rinse. Your rinse is the hot water used to warm up your tea, warm up your teaware, your teacups, and then you dispose of it because it doesn't have much of a flavor and it's kind of considered to clean your tea. So you don't want to be drinking that, you just pour it into your tea boat. The tea boat's not necessary, but if you don't want to get up and pour it in your sink, you can get yourself one. Now that you know the basics of Gongfu, let's start brewing. The first thing we're going to do is start our rinse. So with this tea that we have here, which is silver needle white tea, the ideal temperature to brew is around 80 degrees, I find. So what I'm going to do is I'll add the tea to my modern Gaiwan. All in there. And then I'm going to warm the water about 10 degrees lower than the actual brew temperature. So like I said, I want this to be around 80 degrees, meaning my rinse will only be about 70 degrees. Once this water reaches 70 degrees, we are ready for our rinse. So you pour your water in, just enough to cover the leaves, and you add your lid. And you just hold it for a short period of time, and then you let it go. So you'll notice that the water, or that the tea rather, is very light. That's common with white tea. They are very, really delicate and light colors in comparison to the other teas. So now you have your rinse, and what you'll do with it is warm up your teacups. The rest you can pour in your sink or your tea boat. So what's nice about these cups is you can really, because they're iron and they conduct well, you can really feel them warming up. So they were quite cold before, but now they feel quite nice in the hand. So when they get to a comfortable temperature, you can pour them out. Okay, now that we're done with the rinse, we're ready for infusion number 1. So, kettle's now at 80 degrees. We're ready for infusion number 1. So now you're gonna pour your water almost all the way, and you want to then put your lid. So about 20 to 30 seconds after you've actually started pouring your water in, you then want to press the release. I don't usually use a timer, I try to count in my head, so I think that's about 20 seconds. We can now so it's slightly darker than the rinse, which makes sense. The more you go, the darker your tea will get. Typically, the darker your tea, the stronger it is. That's kind of a rule of thumb. But the first thing you want to do after you've released your tea is to smell your lid. So your lid has those beautiful aromas that it picks up from the tea. And you want to take it in. It's that whole experience. You can also obviously smell your tea, but you want to smell your lid first to allow that steam, which doesn't smell, that kind of distorts your smell. You let that steam go, and then you can smell your tea. So with this specific tea, I'm smelling some roses, a bit of honey, a bit of kind of like a grassy smell in a good way. It's not too strong. It's a very delicate smell. So now we have our brew and we pour it into our cups. So with these cups, you want to fill the tea only about halfway up because the cups can get pretty hot. If you fill them all the way to the top, it's a bit too hot to handle. So I like to fill them about halfway. I'll give you guys a better angle in a second. So tea has cooled down and we are ready to try infusion 1. Well, this is truly, it's one of my favorite teas. It has some subtle notes of honey, rose petals, and then that distinct white tea taste. So it'd be unfair to call it like grassy taste because it doesn't taste like grass, but it has a bit of that kind of earthy aspect to it. But it's a fantastic tea. It brings me a lot of joy. So I like to use 2 cups because what I do is while I'm drinking the other one's cooling down. So I just finished this cup, I pour that hot tea in, and while I'm drinking this one, that one will be cool enough for me to drink it. Yeah, guys, if you have a chance to try Silver Needle white tea, definitely go for it. It's very delicate. It's not strong at all. It's a very delicate taste. You don't want to be eating it or drinking it with other things. You want it to be the experience by itself, because if you are having it with other food, it might get masked and you might think you're drinking nothing. But when you're having it by yourself, you can really, really appreciate the taste. So while I finish my infusion number 1, I'm going to skip to infusion number 2. So the water is back at 80 degrees and we are ready for infusion 2. Same thing, add the water. Okay, it's about 25 seconds, and that is infusion 2. So it is getting a bit darker. It's more of a nice, beautiful golden color right now. Just want to make sure that water is out, and you're once again ready to smell the lid. Yeah, so a little bit more on that kind of that earthy smell that I was talking about. Still very, very nice smell, but I'm losing a bit of that the roses. But let's see the taste. So we add our tea in and wait a few seconds. We're now ready to try infusion number 2. Yeah. So kind of the taste is quite similar to the first infusion, which makes sense, but it's a little bit amped up. So everything, all the honey notes and the earthy notes, everything is kind of, it's waking up. The tea is really getting nice and warm and really releasing these beautiful tastes. So I've told you guys what Gongfu is. I've explained the difference between Gongfu and Western. And finally, I've showed you guys how to brew it. I'm going to continue going on to my 7th infusion, but that'll be it for this video. Hope it was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you could leave a like and subscription, that'd be amazing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.